Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncounterCast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
What is up? Welcome to Final Encountercast. Talk show all about video games, movies, TV shows.
Oh, can we please talk about video games today?
Well, we were going to talk about video games today because, of course, we are doing this show on the heels of E3 2016. But, unfortunately, those plans got a little bit waylaid because our good friend and intern, not intern, our producer. Kookie.
Oh, Kookie's only an intern?
No, she's a producer.
No, she's a producer.
And reducing her to nothing.
Kookie is...
Kookie's the firewall.
Yeah, that's right. Kookie is unfortunately in the hospital. She was streaming the other day here on Final Encountercast, doing some Uncharted 4 streaming, and complaining about her back hurting a little bit. And turns out that was some gallbladder issues. Well, she had to go in for emergency surgery. We wish her all the best, but obviously she cannot be here to answer phones for us today. But we wanted to check.
Don't worry, everyone. She also, she got out of surgery and everything went well, so she's just recovering now.
Yes. So make sure to send your well wishes over to Kookie, and she did an awesome job covering everything out at E3 2016. So we thank her for her hard work, and we will check in with her next week. We'll get her all of her experiences from the show floor, as well as check out her exclusive interviews that she got from E3 2016. But there's like a whole plethora of gaming news that we didn't even get to on our E3 coverage. By the way, if you've been enjoying our E3 coverage, I'm glad you have. That was like 3 podcasts that we didn't even mean to put out. Like we had initially done those, and we were figuring like, oh, we're gonna save these and re-air these today, like on the show today. Yeah. And they ended up being so big, like the pre-show and the post-show. They ended up being so long each one of them that we were like, okay, we're just going to put these together in their own podcasts and put them out. So if you've been enjoying the E3 2016 coverage, then maybe become a supporter here of Final Encountercast. The way that we do support is we are supported through Patreon. We have a Patreon account under our other flagship show, Limit Break Radio. You can find it at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. Even just $1 a month helps out a lot. Guys, we'd like to see a lot of pledges come in at $1 or $5 a month, whatever is sustainable for your budget. We'll say thank you by thanking you on the show. We have some items that we'll send out to thank you as well, including dog tags, keychains, posters, t-shirts, and by the way, t-shirts have been sent out. We've been starting to get some of those sent back, pictures of those sent back to us, which is really exciting. Guys, we want to see your t-shirts. Share them with us on Twitter. But if you haven't made the jump to being a supporter of Final Encountercast at the LBR Network, let's call it that for right now. If you haven't made the jump to being a supporter of the LBR Network, and the LBR Network, by the way, includes Limit Break Radio, Final Encountercast, and Refresh, then maybe now is the time. We're currently sitting at 1837. We fell even a little bit more between Limit Break Radio and Final Encountercast. So guys, we got to make up that difference and get us back over 2,000 if Final Encountercast wants to stay a weekly product. Now on Limit Break Radio, I had told you guys that I was going to give you a little bit of a preview of what we're working on our side to be able to try to expand our audience, to continue to grow the show. And so one of the things that we've been working on is we've taken some of the best segments from Final Encountercast, and we, considering that the show is only 20 episodes old, there was a surprising amount of really, really good high quality content that I was able to pull, and I pulled it together into a demo. And what we've been trying to do is send that out to traditional broadcast organizations and not necessarily sell them on Final Encountercast, but say, look, this is what we're able to produce as a production company. We want to make a show tailor-made for your airwaves. And so we're going to try to be attempting to put together possibly another show or maybe an offshoot of Final Encountercast that you might be able to hear on other networks. So we're trying to expand our audience and do some outreach locally, because what we've got is a great show. This is a great talk show, and the people who listen every single week know that. We've seen more and more and more people saying, like, look, man, Final Encountercast, I love Limit Break Radio. I've listened to Limit Break Radio for years, but Final Encountercast is bringing something else to the table. I love hearing you guys out of your element and talking about things that aren't Final Fantasy, and it's just a great show. And because of the attention that you guys have brought to the show, we're able to take that to a radio station and go, look, we're able to build an audience, and there's enough of a local industry. There's a bunch of mom and pop video game stores and events that go on locally that I think that this is a sellable show. This is a show that you can sell ad time around, and even though we have a tough time doing that through the podcast because it's a worldwide distribution, and a lot of times products want a very narrow distribution to be able to advertise, that's one of the things that we've been working on. We've been trying to find a broadcast partner to try to expand our audience outward. Obviously, we've also been doing big promotional pushes at things like E3 and any of the conventions that we go to, just pounding the pavement and telling people about Final Encountercast and spreading the word. And we want you guys to do the same thing. Continue spreading the word of Final Encountercast, continue spreading the word of LBR, and help the audience grow, because the more that we can grow this, I think the more that we can make a compelling argument that this is a show that deserves to be heard on regular radio. Now, I mean, here's the thing, is that with regular radio and podcasting, it's easy for everyone to end up hearing this. But imagine if a radio station took a chance on doing a live call-in show that talked about video games in the way that we talk about video games, in the same way that maybe a sportscaster talks about or breaks down sports as a subject. Isn't that something that you would like to hear? Like, isn't that something that's always something that I would have liked to hear growing up on the radio? And it's something that I would have latched on to immediately. And I think that it's incredibly cool. And, now is a really interesting time in broadcasting because there are a lot of opportunities. There are more opportunities now for new ideas and for creative ideas because radio as an industry has regressed a lot in its programming ideas. You've got not a whole lot of companies that own a whole lot of media space, and so they condense their programming. And I think that it would be really cool if we could convince a traditional broadcast outlet to take a chance on something like this. So that's just one of the things that we have in the works for trying to expand the audience outward, as well as we are working on a whole new site, lbrnetwork.com. We've talked about this a little bit in some of our not our post show, but our green room videos. Mm-hmm. So if you are a patron over at our Patreon page, then you may already know the name that we've kind of set aside for this. But we are planning on launching LBR lbrnetwork.com as a source for all of the content that we put out between Limit Break Radio, Refresh, and Final Encountercast. We wanted a way to kind of bring that all together in one cogent fashion. Because I sort of feel like having limitbreakradio.com, finalencountercast.com, and I think we're going to be reviving refreshpodcast.com. Having all of those three disparate websites is a little bit confusing, and so we wanted to try to bring them together. That doesn't mean that Limit Break Radio or Final Encountercast, that doesn't mean that they're going anywhere, but we do want to try to drive traffic to this new site. And if it turns out that people end up liking this a lot better, it could be something that we move to on a bit more of a permanent basis. So we'd love to hear your feedback on that. This is just some of the stuff that we have in the works for trying to grow the product over the next couple of years. And we're really, really aggressively trying to seek out, new advertisers, new partners, new broadcasting partners, new content partners. We have two ways that we can grow. We can either produce more content through LBR Network, or we can let our content support a bigger content network. We're exploring both of those options because I think both of those options are perfectly valid, and we get to retain creative freedom over our product. So if this we ask you to now do your part over at patreon.com/limitbreakradio. Get the show back up above 2,000 a month so that we can maintain a weekly schedule doing this show. We want to keep doing the show weekly. Like I said, our E3 coverage, that was like we were bending over backwards trying to figure out who's going to be here to try to do those. If this is something that you see any value in whatsoever, that you spend any of your time with, then head on over to patreon.com/limitbreakradio and support the network today.
The Sony coverage that we did, that was a full-length LBR in and of itself.
It was. Yeah. It was very, some of the coverage there was pretty lengthy. Some of the discussions we got into was very good. And if you haven't checked out those E3 episodes, I invite you to do so, because I'm very proud of the coverage and the work that all of us came together to do. I really would have loved to put a great end cap on that this week and talk about E3 as a whole with the whole crew, but being down, we're missing Chris as a host, and I know, right? Nobody really cares about that.
No, he's excited about something else. Look who's in the chat.
Oh, Kookie's here!
Whoa. She lives.
Nothing keeps down the firewall.
That's right.
Yeah, she shows back up to plug our Patreon.
That's right. Good Kookie. Good Kookie. Again, make sure to send your well wishes to Kookie, and we send our well wishes. We're glad that you're doing okay. If you want to give us a call, Final Encountercast on Skype is the way that's done. 810-207-1764 is the number to call. We'd love to take your calls. We're going to be talking about anime here today on the show, since we're taking a break from the E3 coverage to let Kookie recover. We are going to talk about anime because I don't like.
You hate me.
I must hate myself too, because I think Robbie, you and I are.
Why would you do this to us? Breaks are supposed to be like nice things, like relaxation and vacation.
You don't want to talk about the animus?
You don't want to talk about the animus? What's wrong? Aw.
He's a little butthurt.
What is there to talk about? Animus are dumb.
What?
I don't know.
See, Nika agrees.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, speaking of sponsorship, we want to remind you that this show is brought to you by Alamo City Comic-Con, October 28th through the 30th at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center in sunny San Antonio, Texas. Alamo City Comic-Con celebrates the artists that entertain us through TV, movies, comics, gaming, and cosplay. For more info, including badge prices, celebrity guests, hotel accommodations, and more, visit AlamoCityComicCon.com. Support also provided by the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra and their Summer with the Symphony concert series on Wednesday, July 27th. The San Francisco Symphony will share the stage with famous video game composer Nobuo Uematsu at the Davies Symphony Hall in San Francisco, and will perform music from Final Fantasies 6, 7, and 10. This is Final Symphony's last stop on their debut U.S. tour. Tickets are available over at SSS sfsymphony.org. That's SF as in San Francisco. sfsymphony.org. And by the way, Hironobu Sakaguchi, creator of the Final Fantasy video game franchise, will appear in a pre-concert talk on July 27th at 7:30. If you needed another reason to go, there's another reason to go. Again, tickets over at sfsymphony.org. All right, as we do always, let's check out what's going on with gaming news.
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
Alrighty, guys. Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Years has been unveiled by Square Enix, a remaster of the 2006 PlayStation 2 title. The game has been confirmed for a U.S. release and will be PS4 exclusive.
This is this is one of the things that happened right before E3 that we actually didn't get a chance to talk about before the E3 coverage started. Final Fantasy XII remaster. We've known that this is coming for a while. We finally got our first trailer of it. I don't know, guys. What do you think? I don't know. I mean, like, okay, first of all, I am going to get it. I absolutely am going to get it. I remember, like, the thing is I don't remember much from FF12, and it's one of those where I'm like, I kind of want to go back and you know, go do it again so that maybe I have a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see this game come out for the Vita as well, because I feel like if you did it for 10, it should not be that hard for 12.
Right.
Also, I don't feel like it looks that much better.
I can't believe it's a 2006 title. I was in high school when that came out. I feel old.
You were in high school?
Yeah.
I remember
you.
I remember.
Yeah, it came out when I was a freshman in college. That makes sense.
Yeah, I remember being up at college when it came out, and
I got the collector's edition. I had like a metal tin and everything.
I have 2 of them. I have an extra one. If anyone,
2 collector's editions.
2 collector's editions.
I had a
yeah.
collector's edition. I gave it away because I hated the game.
What? Oh my God, 12
wasn't a good game. No.
Oh my God,
I didn't
no,
like it
that's
when
a
it came out.
fantastic
No, okay,
game.
stop. All right, as far as FFs go, to me, it was my least favorite. But I'm actually super hyped about it because the Zodiac job system fixes the biggest complaint that I had about it. Whenever you recruit like a new character, you get to pick like out of 1 out of 12 jobs for them to be. That sort of dictates where they start on the license board, and I guess starts them out with like basic abilities of that particular class. And it also, what else do they say that it adds? Also comes with like a trial mode and a new game plus feature. So I feel like it adds a bit more to the gameplay value than it previously did. And this is the last Final Fantasy besides 1 and 2 that I need on Steam to complete my collection. So I'm
there you
excited.
go.
But do you still get to run around and convince people that you are, in fact, Captain Bosch von Ronsenberg of Dalmasca?
Of course.
I believe. Yeah, why would they remove that? If they didn't take out the wooden ha 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 from 10, they're not going to take.
That was supposed to be like that.
Yeah. We've heard it all before.
Don't believe Ondor's lies.
I'll believe whatever I want to believe.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty exciting. I really would have liked to see a native Vita version, but I'll play it.
Did it actually say in the article that it's going to be PS4 exclusive?
I believe so, yeah.
It's only announced for PS4 at this point, so
okay. So
a Vita release
doesn't
would be
actually.
interesting.
It doesn't say this is an exclusive for PS4. That's just all it was announced for.
I don't know.
Because I mean, I don't necessarily see them like releasing it to Xbox or LOL Nintendo.
Well,
but I do want to see it on Steam.
Even if that's what the article says, because we're sourcing this from NovaCrystallis.com. Even if that is what the article says, who knows what the actual truth of it is? Like, even if it does say that it's a PS4 exclusive, I don't know that I've seen that on any of the official marketing. So
yeah, looking here, it looks like the jobs that are available. Samurai Hunter, White Mage, Ulan, Machinist, Red Mage, Knight Monk, Time Mage, Breaker, Archer, and Black Mage.
Okay.
Sounds cool.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, no, I'll pick it up when it comes out.
Because of that, too.
Yeah. So yeah, and Marcus, yeah, I know I can remote play it, but I don't.
Yeah.
It's not the same. I wanted a native version. I think that would have been better.
Right.
The Final Fantasy trading card game has been exclusively sold in Japan for the last 12 years, but no more. This September, the game will be seeing a European release. So could America follow in its wake?
Why did I not even know this existed?
Because it's in Japan only.
Chris's reaction was that times 50. Like, he burst into my room and he's like, "Did you know there's a Final Fantasy trading card game?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "It's been out forever." And like for the next 3 hours, he's like looking up cards online and trying to figure out how to play it and stuff like that. And he's like, "Europe gets released. When's ours? I would totally play this."
Oh my
In fact,
God.
I think he mentioned something about giving you money to pick him up some cards when you're in Japan, Nika.
Oh God, no! Come on!
I will, dude. If he sends me some money on PayPal.
Oh, what a dork! What a dork!
He did nothing
I'm
but hope for
assuming
card
they'll
games
sell them
all
in
E3.
Akihabara.
Right.
If they sell them in Akihabara, I'll buy some of them there.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's
I'll buy them for all you guys as a present.
You know, that's actually an interesting observation that the only time that Chris was plugged into anything that was going on in E3 was when we were talking about trading card games. How sad is that? Ugh.
Super sad, especially
yeah.
considering he's not going to play any besides Hearthstone. He's too far in.
I just wonder, is Magic big over in Europe? Do they have that there? Is that something they have to worry about competing with there? Because if they try to bring it to America, there's steep competition for trading card games here.
I would imagine in Europe it's got to at least have a little bit of a foothold.
I think they do.
I think so. I've just never heard about that dire EU scene over there.
I know they have it in Japan, and I think they have it over in Europe as well. Once in a while, you'll see them on Twitch playing the tournaments and that. They have once in a while like an Australian or a German or something.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure they have it over there.
Okay.
I bet Yu-Gi-Oh still has a hold on the European nations. Fucking Yu-Gi-Oh!
That game makes no sense. Starting next month, Blizzard games will become compatible for streaming with Facebook. The Go Live feature will let you stream games on your timeline, and if a fan subscribes to it, they'll be notified whenever you go live. So it sounds like Twitch on Facebook.
Facebook's trying to get a hold of that little corner of the market they don't have.
Yeah, Facebook Live is a thing that I actually know quite a bit about because the radio station that I work for is experimenting in it, and this is where I got to come in and say, well, let me hang on. Can I just can I tell you something? The radio. Oh.
Why do card games keep getting mentioned even when Chris isn't even
I'm kidding,
here?
you can.
God damn it,
Got a
Chris.
donation dummy. Yeah, no, I agree.
We can't escape them.
I know. I agree, Malky Thera. But the station that I work for, their Facebook Live setup is a cell phone on a tripod.
What?
Yeah, it's a cell phone on a tripod. So you really if you can imagine what a cell phone on a tripod would sound like in here, that's what it sounds like in a radio studio, because none of those mics are linked up to that to that cell phone. It's really and so I was like, one of the meetings, I was like, can we look at software? Have you guys considered that at all? And I might be helping out with their live streaming endeavor, which is kind of cool because I mean our studios are a bit based off of theirs, and the way that we do our wide angle cameras, wide angle cameras, the way that we do our wide angle cameras is totally based off of their system. So that might be something that people see more of in the future. And I did actually see, what was it recently? It was a Call of Duty match that was on Facebook Live, and there was like 7,000 people watching.
Oh wow!
So it's not. Yeah.
Oh wow!
The quality.
It was really good. No, the quality was really legit. It was like they took OBS and they were just like, hey, stream it to Facebook instead of Twitch. And it had 7,000 people watching in that moment. I mean, granted, it was a ranked match, it was a tournament match, but I mean, it's not that literally nobody watches it. Like, people are actually are using the feature. So I think that it might actually be kind of cool.
And to be clear here too, obviously they haven't got. It's not like they've cornered the Blizzard market to where like you can only live stream Blizzard games on Facebook. They're probably just talking about integrating something into BattleNet that allows you to just be like stream on Facebook. Click.
Yes.
Yep, there you go.
In the same way that Steam has that built-in stream to Twitch function. Yeah, I see it being very similar.
David White, National Executive Director of the SAG-AFTRA Guild, published an open letter to the California Division of the Occupational Safety and Health Board. The letter requested serious investigation and effort to protect voice actors working on video games, citing conditions harmful to the actors' voices, such as recording sessions running too long and being required to do not only voices but loud noises and screams that do long-term damage to the vocal cords.
So this is, I mean, we've been following this story. We talked to David Hayter about it a couple. Almost a year ago. It's sad to see that this is still an issue. Now, this came to us from Gama Sutra, and this was published on June 6th, 2016. So, earlier in the month, but, we wanted to follow up on this because this is still clearly an issue, guys. This is still, if we thought that just by virtue of the fact that SAG-AFTRA didn't go ahead and initiate the strike, that they authorized it but never initiated it, that maybe the problem had improved, that the conditions had improved, or maybe even the dialogue between voice actors and video game companies had improved. And indeed, it looks like it hasn't at all, which is very, it's very disappointing to see that. So
definitely. And I mean, just like when that's something that's your livelihood that you got to put on the line and you cannot say no for fear of being cut from the project. Like good of them to get OSHA involved, because that might be someone who can do something about it.
I think OSHA is the correct body to petition at this point. If the industry is complacent to do nothing, then there's going to have to be something that comes in and compels them to do something. It's sad to hear about voice actors coming off of an extreme session and coughing up blood into the toilet all night. These are just not stories that are, that's not conducive to any kind of productive work environment. And, when your voice is your livelihood, you want to protect that. And every time you do a session to make money, you walk away from it going, man, I don't know what kind of damage I just did on the way that I make money. Like, I think that should be something that's protected.
And it's not nowadays. It's not even just that either. I mean, with all the mocap that they're doing, and they don't have the same like stunt coverage as what actors in like action movies do. And you've also and I hate to I hate to harp on them, but you've got people like Hideo Kojima that are replacing their protagonists with actors, whether it be Norman Reedus, whether it be
Kiefer Sutherland.
Thank you. Whether it be any, like, we see this more and more. There was another game, Beyond Two Souls. I know it didn't do very well, but that had Ellen Page and the other guy, Willem Dafoe. Well, it had Willem Dafoe in it.
Even though they're doing voice acting, they're classified as actors, not voice actors, so they get different type of like pay and compensation.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're not taking those roles if they have to deal with the same crap other voice actors do.
To get a big name, they'd have a higher like base pay to start with, but I didn't think that like once like their actual pay for the role would be any different.
I think that
I would not doubt if Kiefer Sutherland has some type of like residuals coming from that game.
Absolutely.
Whereas as a voice actor, here's your pay, bye. We're done with you now.
Not just like categorically either. I think that comes with the ability to negotiate. You know what I mean? Like someone like Kiefer Sutherland or Norman Reedus has an agent who is much more willing to negotiate and step away from a project, because of course they don't need to do a video game project, right? Like
they're going to get other work.
Exactly, right? They don't need this. Like a voice actor, there's way more competition. There's there's way more risk involved with that, and it's kind of sad to see some of these opportunities going to what are quote unquote called screen actors as opposed to voice actors. So
Twitter recently conducted a study as it relates to gamers who use their service and found that 65% of all Twitter users are gamers. They are also 8% more likely to spend $100 or more a year on gaming than gamers who don't use Twitter. I thought 65%. That's a humongous percentage of their base.
That is a pretty large percentage. I think Twitter is interesting because of the dynamics of the people who end up sticking around and using it a lot. There have been some very interesting demographic studies done about Twitter. The hip hop community loves Twitter. But there are other places where it's just like Twitter's sort of like an ancillary portion. It provides a very ancillary role in popular culture. So it's weird to see where the little holdouts are of so gaming very well represented, and
65%.
Well, I think you see that reflected also in the trending hashtags too.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, what I would be interested to know is what does an account have to do to be classified as a gamer? You know what I mean? For example, if someone hashtags Farmville once, do they then fall into the gamer category, or is this just a survey that people took? I mean, how many people actually...
So you're wondering how they got the metric?
Yeah, was it like I only tweet about daytime soap operas. However, I do play games. I just don't tweet about it. Yes, I'm going to check the gamer box.
It's not clear what the metric is or what the sample size was. We don't know if they took a massive amount of statistics and just sort of threw them at each other. Out of total unique users, X amount have ever tweeted about video games. And I could see where it's not necessarily statistically sound, but it is still an interesting, interesting trend, right? Because it does show that video games do have a very strong thread running through Twitter. And I think, again, that is reflected very commonly in, the trending hashtags and stuff like that, too.
Japan held general elections for the world of Pokemon this year, finding out who the top 5 favorites of all time were. The most popular was Greninja, with Arceus, Mew, Pikachu, and Sylveon rounding out the top 5.
Okay.
Well, we're pretty upset that Pikachu didn't get number 1 for some reason.
I guess that's surprising more than anything.
Should be number 1 simply just because, in terms of adults who grew up with it and kids who know it now, everybody knows and loves Pikachu.
Yeah, but that's not how democracy works.
You
have to actually vote.
But
here's the problem. This is why Pikachu seems like he should be number 1. Okay, it's because yes, everyone knows about him, but the people who actually watch the show, play the game, do the trading cards, whatever, they know that Pikachu's a lame ass, so they actually vote for their favorite one. But the people who only know Pikachu don't care enough to actually vote.
What we here at Final Encountercast call a lame ass.
Pikachu's cute and Pikachu's awesome. Pikachu's the best.
Pikachu's a sellout.
Raichu is better.
No,
Raichu's lame. Greninja for life.
You mean Jigglypuff for life?
Robbie, you voted, didn't you?
I did not. This was in Japan. I'm going to fly to Japan to participate in an election.
Maybe it was online. Who knows if you had to actually go?
Like Chris?
Oh God, he would.
Robbie spoofing IPs to be able to vote on the Japan general election for Pokemon.
Hey,
I believe it. No. As soon as that sentence left my lips, I believe it. I 100% believe that happened.
Oh, jeez.
All right, my favorite news story of the day. La Petite Moore, an app focused on touching a pixelated vagina, has been pulled from the iOS store. What? While the game doesn't technically depict nudity, the concept was apparently out there enough for Apple to pull it.
Yeah,
this is so funny.
So, you know how on cop shows, they have a few different ways of, masking people's face, and one of them is with just, the super big, giant, pixelated.
Right, just blur it out with pixels.
Right? Just blur it out.
Yeah.
That's what they did to get past, the nudity aspect of it.
Right.
And it was actually on the App Store for a while until they did, their first update. And then when you do an update to an app, it has to go through the procedure of being greenlit again, basically. And that's when someone noticed it was like, look, well, your app doesn't technically break any rules, it's not very family friendly either.
I like it because it was the European client that kind of pulled it, and they're like, I don't know if this would be that offensive to like European clientele, but worldwide, I don't know if it has quite that mass appeal that we're looking for. And like, all I can think is like, really, touching vagina doesn't have a mass appeal? You don't think so?
Like, real? Yeah,
really?
seriously.
You think that's
like,
lacking?
That's what a hilarious idea for a game, and I'm not surprised that the App Store would pull it. And I think that we're going to see a line of games like this that try to push the envelope to see, all right, where is the line, where is the edge? Because we've seen stuff like the Yandere Simulator and stuff like that. That stuff obviously crosses some sort of line with people, and it's going to push some buttons, and it's kind of clear why that would be, not disallowed from Twitch, or somebody wouldn't want that on their store. With something like this, like, it's starting to kind of like it's moving away from that extreme, like, oh, of course that would get banned, to like, yeah, but is it really that bad? Like, is that really the worst thing?
People trying to find where that line is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That reminds me, when I was in college in my game design course, one of our first projects was just to make a game. And he said, I want to encourage you, a game can be many things. It doesn't have to be what you typically think of as a game. I like to think that whoever made this app was in that class. Because we spent that entire class period coming up with inappropriate things to make into a game. One of which did involve being a giant vagina and eating things.
Here's the problem. In order to make an app about touching a vagina, you have to have knowledge about a vagina.
Not really if you blur it out.
Do ya?
If you want it to be realistic, which apparently this is something that the app boasted. It wasn't just about touching it as fast as you can to get the meter to go up. You had to there was a strategy to it.
Oh, that's good. At least it was an actual game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what are you saying, Robbie, that we're hurting for game developers that have intimate knowledge of vaginas?
I'm just saying that whenever Callie went to school, I don't see him and his classmates and friends being the ones that are getting all the pussy, okay? That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
It's probably fair.
There's a long way to go for that, but I'm glad we pulled that out of the gutter.
Yeah, back in college, I don't know if we had a good simulator on how to work the clip properly, but...
Okay.
All right. Some on-location pictures have given us a better look at Scarlett Johansson's Major Kusanagi in the upcoming Ghost in the Shell movie. Until now, we've only had the profile image released from the publisher, and I think we have those queued up.
We sure do. Oh boy. Okay. So first of all, I'm sure that we're gonna get yelled at in our YouTube comment section for being anti-white or whatever the fuck that guy was yelling at us about the last time we talked about Scarlett Johansson playing Major Kusanagi. But here we actually see some of the first couple of shots from the set. I actually am like way surprised by this and like really encouraged.
They
look
really good.
I actually think that she looks really legit.
I am pleasantly surprised. I didn't think she would look as good as she does.
For me, it's the guy with like the bionic eyes. Bato, thank you. Like, he looks spot on.
Yeah. He actually, at first I was a little bit worried, but actually when we come down here more towards the one of him specifically, that's actor Pilo Ozbek that's playing Bato. And I actually think that they got this right. They've got the visual style right. I think that they're nailing it in terms of the visual aesthetic. And I mean, just look at some of the extras here in terms of, like clothing and design. It in terms of visual style, it very much is marrying the cyberpunk style with the sort of like slum aspect that really kind of penetrated the first film. It's not, in certain Ghost in the Shell series, like we do spend time in the slums and stuff like that, but in the first Ghost in the Shell movie, there was a really, really iconic chase scene that happened in this sort of like slum-ish neighborhood, and I think that they've really really done a very good job at recreating that here. What do you guys think? I'm super excited for this.
From the aesthetic, like just if you walk past like the screen and take a look at it, you're like, oh, Ghost in the Shell.
Right.
You know it when you see it. It looks like Ghost in the Shell.
It does. Yeah, it absolutely does. I'm super impressed by what I see.
Me too.
And me, who's never seen Ghost in the Shell.
And I do think that, ScarJo does make a pretty badass major right there.
Say what you will, she looks awesome.
She always looks awesome.
You would think that.
She does. She always does look awesome. But I mean, really, it's pretty well done. I'm much more encouraged by what I see here than what I've heard about. Just kind of in passing about it so far. So, yeah, super exciting. So there you guys go. Yell at us some more on YouTube about how we don't like white people.
A New York high school student took a copy of Super Smash Bros. Melee with him to prom. When high school senior Chris Burwell couldn't find a date, he decided to take something very close to him instead, stashing the disc for his Melee game in his jacket pocket. Apparently, he took it out of the case because he was afraid the school would confiscate it.
What?
So it was literally just the disc.
He took the
when
disc.
I first saw this headline, I thought maybe he had rigged up some cool thing where he was actually carrying around like a playable game at prom.
No.
But no, he just has the disc in his
Just
pocket.
has the disc.
He tweeted out about it.
It was super disappointing, and apparently
that is
the
really
internet
weird.
The internet loved it. And I feel like we should be shaming this kid.
He tweeted out about it saying he was like, I didn't get a date, so I took my one true love with me.
Did he even try? I mean,
it would have been. See, the thing is,
Maybe you could put like a TV on a stand on wheels and like have a powered battery and like carry that around. That would have been sweet. But like,
I feel like this is getting a shitload of undue attention because I feel like what happened was the guy decided to just take the disc with him. He didn't. I don't think he even did anything with it at prom. He just like took a picture of himself, like, haha, I'm gonna take this in my jacket pocket instead of taking a woman, and that's it. That's the whole story.
Even more than that, he probably did not mean to take it. He was checking through his coat, was like, oh, I've got this.
Oh, look at that.
Found my prom date.
No, but I mean, like, if he had like, taken it out at prom and like they had put the pin spot on him while he was dancing with the game disc, or if he had, like
caught him trying to give it a handy in the bathroom. Whatever it may be.
Using it to give himself a
get the photographer to take a nice like high class photo with the thing. Like if that's the shit that he was doing, okay, fine, I get how this would be a news story, but it just this seems like a whole bunch of undue attention from people who don't really know. Like, I mean, this one, the source on this is Fox News. Okay, so
what?
Just saying,
whatever credibility.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just look at what these wacky gamers are doing.
Slow news night. Golden State Warriors forward Draymond Green has quit playing video games, saying he likes to win and wasn't very good at them. Kind of the embodiment of our get good thing, isn't it?
Isn't that a punch in the dick?
It sort of is, but
he's an MSU grad too.
He is. But you know what? He's got other things to focus on right now, I think.
Not being suspended for one.
Yeah.
Oh,
start there.
Plenty of times for those Vigima. Oh wait, he quit those.
No, but it's funny with the whole get good thing. One of the trailers for from E3, the God of War trailer, there's a great quote in there that I just absolutely loved that is sort of related back to the get good thing, which was don't be sorry, be better. And I was like, oh, that's a great quote. And then now I'm seeing commercials that are like, failure is the way that you get better at something. Like you try and you fail and you try again. And I was like, okay, so like this idea is actually starting to take hold. And I'm not saying that it's like emanating from us by any means, but
we won't disagree with you if you say it.
But I think I think that like that whole idea of undue adulation, undue praise, undue rewards for things are starting to wear thin on people. You can only get participation trophies in shit for so long before they start becoming completely meaningless and start feeling like like arbitrary rewards for nothing. People want to be rewarded for things that they do well. And so, yeah, I think that's just kind of an extension of that. But anyway, I thought that was funny.
And that's what's going on in the news. Yeah,
you could take the Draymond Green approach and just say, fuck video games. Or you can take the T-Pain approach and say, I'm going to stream them. I like T-Pain's approach much, much more. If you would like to call Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. Please make sure to get your calls in here on Skype. We are going to be talking about some anime. And I'm sort of a little bit trepidatious of this topic, not just because
I feel like we can't have an anime episode without our one true weeb, Chris. Like, we all know that he's the real anime fan here.
We all know how much he secretly loves anime,
especially Nintendo themed animes. That's, I think, really right in his sweet spot.
Oh,
now, if we can find a Nintendo themed anime with a card game in it,
he'd be in heaven.
Yeah, is there a Yu-Gi-Oh that focuses on like Mario or something?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. Robbie, how big of a fan was Chris of Yu-Gi-Oh when we were in college? Because I remember it was somewhat a large part of his life. Is he gone? What? Where are you? You're
I don't think his mic's working or something.
Technical difficulties.
That happened right as I started changing Skype things, and it scared me.
Yeah, well, his video's still here. We lost your sound, buddy.
Okay. That timing couldn't have been worse.
Yeah.
Scared
right?
the hell out of me one time doing Skype.
Right as I'm asking a goddamn question, too. Anyway.
Sign it for us, with sign language.
Chris, I know Chris was a huge fan of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Was he really?
Yeah, he had a lot of cards.
Of the game or of the show?
I think of both,
okay,
if I'm not mistaken.
But card games on motorcycles, what about that, man? It's like Yu-Gi-Oh! 5, what was it, 5D or 5G?
It's weird to say that that's where the show got bad, because the show was already pretty bad. But man,
actually, from
did it
what
fall
I
off a
hear,
cliff
the
at that
manga actually makes it a lot more intense, and the anime really does a disservice.
The
to
manga
the manga
actually is pretty. Like, you don't go to the Shadow Realm when you lose; you get a limb cut off.
Yeah, like it's a lot.
The manga
more
is
legit.
Hardcore.
Was Yu-Gi-Oh done by 4 kids?
Oh, was it ever?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh God, was it ever?
So we're gonna call this discussion "Your Waifu is Shit," because it
My
is.
waifu, best waifu.
So I just sort of want to start out like where.
My waifu's on my shirt. I wore my.
Nate is not going to make it through this. We're just going to see him give up halfway.
Can I get through a goddamn sentence, please? I sort of just want to kind of go around the room. Also, if Robbie can get his goddamn thing in order, go around the room and just sort of share what our context is for anime as a genre. Let's start with Callie. Callie, how far does your experience with anime go back?
My first anime was Ghost in the Shell, followed very quickly by Evangelion, probably mid-late 90s in that era. After that, I was Hellsing and Initial D for a long time, Excel Saga, things like that. I've kind of gotten out of anime probably in the last 5 or 6 years, with the exception of a series I've watched here or there.
Okay. All right. So Nika, how about you? I think that you're arguably probably the biggest anime fan among us all. So what do you...
Maybe. So... I forget exactly what I was supposed to be responding to. I was thinking about my waifu.
Oh my God.
What's your anime resume?
My anime resume, I have been, obviously, like most of us, probably my first animes were Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, and I've been watching animes. There, I heard that.
Yeah, you're back. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck was going on there.
Dummy.
All right. Anyway, yeah, Chris is a weeb.
Wow.
Look, I'm totally breaking the bro code here.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
But this may or may not have happened, so take it with a grain of salt. Once walked in on him watching Mario hentai.
Whoa.
Oh, so he does like Nintendo.
Okay.
Ooh, I just got
that. Could also be a lie.
Okay, so theoretically, if this did happen, Are we talking like
Nintendo.
Peach and Rosalina, or are we talking
Okay,
like Mario
I don't
and
wanna go
Luigi?
there.
Toad on Toad.
Toad on Toad.
The true princesses.
Okay, we're just checking.
Oh, gross. Anyway, all right. So
Anyway, okay. Let's see. In terms of, I don't know. After that, I think it was all downhill. I had like my little clique in high school that was like super into anime, and we were like our own little thing. And then in college, I was in my anime club, and I was the librarian.
I forgot about that.
In my anime club. And yeah, and I go to anime conventions and I cosplay and all that. So
okay, all right. Robbie, how about you?
Obviously, I've seen some of the Miyazaki stuff. Me and Nika went and seen Ponyo in college.
we did. That was fun. We drove really far to find a theater.
I think my very, very, very first anime I ever watched was The Vampire Hunter D.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that series.
And as far as series go, I've seen a little bit of things here and there. I saw like 5 episodes of Attack on Titan, 2 episodes of High School of the Dead.
You've seen an entire series.
Yes. Digimon.
Yeah, Digimon!
When they first came out, so I was young. Other than that, not a whole lot of it. So.
All right, and Len, how about you?
I've watched all of Inuyasha, and
why?
Well,
Inuyasha's not
where
bad.
did you
It just
find the
goes on
time?
really-
My fiance is big into Inuyasha, so she started watching it, and so when we eat dinner, we watched something, and
You looked at her butt.
I'm sorry.
my fiance's or
Kagome's?
Kagome's.
I was talking about your fiance, but if it was Kagome's, you can tell us. It's fine.
I watched the show. I mean, I didn't get much out of it. I questioned the whole thing. What the hell's going on here? That she was kind of just shut up after a while because she didn't want to answer my questions.
Well, it does go through like 14 seasons, and 10 of them are filler.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know what, guys? I actually remember the point where I said, "No, this isn't for me." When it came to anime,
okay,
and it's Nika's fault.
What?
It's Nika's fault. You almost sold me on being into anime. You dragged me and Chris to Anime Club one time, right?
Did I really? I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
you did. And the first thing we watched was Gurren Lagann, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fighting. There's giant robots. There's Yoko Littner who has huge tits and ass, and I'm like, yeah, I can get into this. This is something I could watch.
Okay.
And then afterwards, we watched the Orin High Club, which is about a bunch of schoolboys in uniforms who mistake a girl for a guy and want to get her a date. And I'm just like, that's it.
That's not what the plot is about.
Killed
Oh my
it for me.
gosh. That's the thing with our anime club too, is we watch 2 like very different genres, so we kind of expose everybody to everything. So that was on purpose. We
Well, you
watched
killed
one
anime
like
for me.
shonen and one shoujo.
I hope you're happy.
We watched 2 different genres, Yoi and
I
Yuri.
know a lot of but I know a lot of people, guys and girls alike, who like or in high school.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Well, we heard that you're gay.
So in terms of my history with anime, the very first anime that I ever saw was Akira. I was very young, very young.
Wow.
Akira.
I was way too young to see Akira when I first saw it.
Yeah, see, so now here's the thing. So my grandma had gone to the video store, and she was like, I picked up some cartoon movies for you. And one of them was Akira. So I was exposed to Akira without even, like, trying to be exposed to Akira.
That is an interesting one to be a...
Oh my God. Oh my God. I
Mind blown.
That moment in Akira where I think her name is Kairi, where she gets crushed by Tetsuo. Yeah, that I literally had nightmares of that.
I still
growing
think
up
about that scene.
It is fucked. That is a fucked scene. That
I'm
is such a fucked scene.
I am picturing old Grandma Aniro just being like, "Oh dear," as she walks in.
My club watched Akira also, so we watched a lot of different stuff.
Well,
you
but
just
again,
didn't give it enough of a try.
I was like 9 or 10 or like somewhere. I was very young, and it was like, you know, like I was staying over at my grandma's for like maybe the first time ever, you know. So I was like, I get to be up all late, and my grandma's not going to make me go to bed, and I get to watch movies all night.
No, instead she's going to give you nightmares.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. We watched a Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode together. My grandma and grandpa went to bed, and then I put in Akira, and I was up until the sun was up. I did not sleep. So that left me with a really kind of specific impression of anime. And then I think my main point of exposure was much like everyone else with Toonami. Toonami and Adult Swim after
Gundam
that.
Wing was like my favorite thing as a kid too.
Gundam Wing was one that I had watched. I've actually made it through quite a lot of series. Gundam Wing was one. Gurren Lagann is another. I'm trying to think some of the ones that I had hit early on.
I watched
Outlaw
like a million
Star.
series. I feel like I mean, I don't consider myself a weeaboo anymore.
You
but
are
compared
such
to,
a
You are
weeb.
such a
Oh my
weeb.
God.
Weeb.
But compared to
Nika,
you
look
guys,
in a mirror.
I feel like
Look in a mirror.
no, because you've been to anime conventions. You see the
What's
like
that behind you? Over your shoulder. Are those little anime dolls?
where or over there?
Yes.
Right
I think
there?
those are
Black
wigs.
one and a yellow one.
That's
No,
a,
those are
wigs.
my wigs.
Dummy.
One of them's on top of a chocobo.
They look like anime dolls.
But you guys have been to anime conventions and you see those like 15-year-old kids that are like, oh, MG kawaii desu ne. Like those are weeaboos. And
no,
I don't
ultra weebs. There are different
Like-
stages to the weeaboo affliction.
Levels.
Yeah.
It's just funny because I wouldn't consider myself like that on a regular basis, but like comparing myself to you guys,
Okay, all right.
I feel pretty weebish right now.
I'm about to get super offensive here. Okay.
Oh, great.
Thanks
Okay.
for the warning.
You go to anime cons and you look over and you see all these like super ultra weebs and you think, nah, I'm not a weeb. Would be like someone finding out they have stage 1 cancer.
Oh,
Going
jeez.
in and seeing someone getting chemo that's
Abandoned
like they're
ship.
completely not gonna make it. Like tonight's the night they're gonna go and be like, compared to him, I don't have cancer. But you still
Yeah.
Abandoned ship.
Yeah.
All hands.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my god.
I mean, it's not a totally inaccurate analogy.
It's an inappropriate one.
I warned you.
You
Anybody
did.
who didn't get offended could have left the stream. They had their chance.
Hey,
They
you know,
know what we're about here.
You know, a narrative much the same thing on
I
LBR
did.
today.
I did.
Yeah, his was way worse, to be fair.
I was like, you don't want me to tell it, and they were like, we want you to tell it, and I was like, no, you don't. Yeah, we do. Okay, here we go. You can't take that back now.
His involved the Holocaust. It was bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I bet it's a lot more than mine.
Yeah, it was fun.
You know, one thing that's interesting about this is when we were talking about it like pre-show, and I was trying to think like, well, God, I haven't seen that many animes. But now every time someone mentions an anime, I'm like, oh yeah, I have seen that one.
Yep.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Because I've probably seen like an episode here or there, but like I didn't mention Gurren Lagann or the Host Club or Gundam, but I mean I've seen at least an episode of those, you know, like here and there. Like I'm thinking more along the lines of stuff that I could actually, if I needed to, probably have a little bit of discussion on. One of my favorite actually is one that I introduced you to, Nate. Dead Leaves.
Oh yeah, Dead Leaves is a great.
I
so
don't know
amazing.
that one.
Dead Leaves is super fucking awesome. It's like 98% plot, or 98% violence, 1% plot, and 1% sex. It's great.
I'm gonna stand behind my my statement that Psychopass is the best anime ever, and if you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. Just gonna.
Well, let's. Okay, all right. So we all kind of have set the stage here. So let's talk about anime. First off, and I think that this is one of the very first conversations that anyone has about anime, but subs or dubs. That is always a hot topic. I won't watch subs. I will not watch subs.
Ditto.
Really?
Yeah, it takes way too much attention. It takes way too. I'm never. There are some series that I really do like and genuinely enjoy. I'm not going to say that it's all worth nothing. And the thing is that even those series that I really enjoy on a base level, I would not sit down and have the attention to give it to read every single subtitle.
And that's fair, because I can sit here also and say that in general, the quality of voice acting is like 80 times better in Japanese for the most part. However, I am also a person who just, unless it's one of my all-time favorite shows, I won't sit down and watch it and read it in Japanese. But
is it? I mean,
honest to God, like there are a few English series that have good voice acting, like Cowboy Bebop is great voice acting, like Fullmetal Alchemist is great, but like there are some that are just unbearable to listen to in English, but I will do it anyway.
Isn't
because
that the point? I thought they were all like that.
But no,
not really. The thing is that I only have time to really watch anime nowadays when I'm sewing, and I'll kind of put it on in the background. And if that's the case, I can't sew and read subs at the same time. So I will put on the English. Granted, there are plenty of series where I'm like sewing and I say I'm like, I wish I could watch the Japanese. The problem I think with English voice actors is that they try to emulate the Japanese voice inflections and stuff, but it doesn't translate well in English because nobody in English speaks that way.
Right.
And so when they try to do that, I'm like, okay, you sound cute, but you don't sound at all like if this was really an English speaking person. And that's really the problem with English dubs.
The series that do dubs the best are the ones that actually take a little bit of liberties with some of the scripting, and they're not so concerned about getting the translation.
Lupin the Third has a great
right.
dub, by the way.
And also a big part of this, and I guess I didn't realize this until later, is being able to edit lip flaps. If you have that ability, not every anime production has that ability, but some that do get a localization budget will have the ability to edit lip flaps, and that can be a big element when trying to take some liberties with a dub script. But I can't watch subs. I'm if this makes me sound like an asshole, I'll totally cop to it. But there's something about the Japanese language and really all Asian languages that really grates on just.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it really it's something that I can't hear. Like I'm never going to understand it on any sort of level. Like I'm really bad with foreign languages, so there's no comprehension that's involved, and even the cadence, the rhythms, the sounds that the voice will hold on are not pleasing to my ears. I'll put it that way, and so it's just not something that I find, like I could put on even in the background. I would find it annoying. I would get annoyed by it.
Racist.
Yeah, fine. I'll accept that.
The only series I've ever heard that I thought was maybe better dubbed, it was Hellsing. I thought their voice acting cast was outstanding in the English dub. But yeah, most often, even though I prefer like the Japanese voices, I don't want to watch it subbed, especially on the first time through. I'd rather appreciate the imagery on the screen and not have to focus on the bottom line of text all the time to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
All of these are reasons that I prefer them dubbed as well. I rarely ever do I sit down just to watch a show and not do anything else. I have to be doing something else. My attention is always split that way. And if I have to read subtitles, I'm gonna miss crap. And I actually might have got into and watched all of Fairy Tail if I could have found a dubbed version of it. But
I only watched all the Fairy Tail episodes that were dubbed because I just didn't have time to watch the subs. But there's like 80 episodes at least of Fairy Tail dubbed. There's so much. God, I totally lost my train of thought where I was going. Oh yeah, there are some shows though that I do love so much that I will take the time to sit down and watch, like Digimon Try or Sailor Moon Crystal, where like they are not going to be in English for like years. So I will actually take the time and sit down and watch
When
it.
they replaced the original cast on Digimon, I stopped. I couldn't no
mas.
What do you mean? You never watched it in Japanese anyway? Do you mean like the characters?
Yes, the original
They changed
characters.
the characters? No. But the thing is Digimon Try is the original characters.
The
new Digimon.
And I understand people's dissatisfaction with English dubs. I mean, a lot of times they can be bad. A lot of times they are cringeworthy.
I want to say like 85% of the time they're cringeworthy.
And when they're bad, they're really bad.
Yeah, but
Nika,
the thing
can I
is,
see some empirical evidence for your stats?
hang on though. The thing is that I find that cringeworthiness is still there when I go to the Japanese version. It doesn't get any better. It's still fucking cringeworthy.
There's this stigma to anime, even if you're a fan sometimes, like you'll still admit to it. Like, look, Chris likes to pretend that he's not, but there's a little bit of weeb in him, and he knows that, and I think he hates that about himself.
Nate, is it just like the high-pitched moe voices that kind of like
that's part of it.
Those will make you cringe.
That's part of it.
But like if you get like a deeper voice like Gendo, if you have Gendo speaking, does that bug you?
No, Gendo's fine.
Yeah.
So
maybe it's the higher register.
Are you saying in the Japanese language?
You're saying in the terms of the language bothering you.
Yeah, that does bother me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah. All of that. It's not. Like, you can parody it so well. I can hear it in my head. None of it is pleasing.
I know, like you made no sense on the language that you just made, but it still sounded very Japanese.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
You just, made it up. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point. Is that like it is a cadence, it's a language, and I don't mean to sound xenophobic or like an asshole or anything, but it really just is a language that on an auditory level does not appeal to me. So it's very hard for me on any level to get into subs. Although I will cop to the one anime that I'm super invested in is Evangelion. And we'll talk a little bit more about Evangelion because I think that actually says stuff about the anime genre. But in that case, I actually will find subs, and I actually will,
I watched all of Ava in dub because I was also watching it while I was sewing, and like Asuka's voice is kind of annoying, even though I've met the voice actors like a billion times. But it still kind of grates on my nerves. But like, I didn't hate the dub.
Well, and not even that, but I mean, as the rebuilds are coming out and we're waiting for, it took like Funimation like 3 years to get that one, the latest, the 3.3.
Well, that's because they claimed they wanted to make more money off it by taking it around to more conventions, and then they never actually did that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. But anyway, in those instances, I actually will seek out subs and even
for one that you
subs.
really care about.
Yes.
Like, those ones that you're really invested in.
Right.
Like, if I do watch a sub, it's always like the second watch through. Like when I decide to come back to the series, like, all right, I haven't seen this in a couple years.
Like,
let's watch it again. This time I'll watch it subbed.
Okay.
But like, are there any series that you love so much and then something new comes out and you know that it's not going to be in English for years? Would you take the time to go and watch it in Japanese, knowing that?
That is the only possible way, because if I ever have a choice between subs and dubs, even if the dubs are absolutely terrible, I will always pick the dubs.
Yeah,
every single time.
When the last stage of Initial D came out, I was not waiting for it to get dubbed over. I had to go watch it immediately.
I've seen that with big fans of Attack on Titan as new seasons come out and stuff like that. There is a lag time in terms of getting the dub out, and with the internet, such a thing, it's really not a problem. Crunchyroll is they make huge amounts of money, and hang on, can someone correct me if I'm wrong? I remember Crunchyroll at one point as sort of like a kind of sketchy place to get anime. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, how did they turn their business legit? That's pretty impressive.
Crunchyroll, I remember people that were Crunchyroll ambassadors back in the day, and it was just like forums and like, it was kind of like an anime news site. It wasn't a streaming service, and you would just kind of find ways to watch anime through the forums and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I made a Crunchyroll account like way back in the day, and it was not what it is now.
It felt like they started partnering with publishing studios.
But
to
I was going to say, what probably happened was, certain like studios was like, you know what, there's a demand for this, and why make our own when we can just go through these guys?
It's actually it's really interesting because if you look at it like a streaming video marketplace, it's had such a different evolution from all of the other ones. Hulu is a combined effort of a lot of the major TV networks to incorporate even the most amount of TV content that they can possibly push out. Netflix, obviously, they cobble their streaming agreements together from around all over the place, and here was Crunchyroll kind of existing as this sort of like not really legit source for newer anime that was making the jump across the pond. And instead of like going like, we're gonna bring out a legit thing to crush this, a lot of the companies, it seemed like started to partner with them, and now they're you see
living
them
the dream.
You see them everywhere. They've got their own app, and it's a very different evolution of a marketplace than anyone else.
It wasn't torrenting, but it almost felt like if you woke up and saw that the Pirate Bay was now a legitimate source for getting things, you'd be like, that's weird.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and it didn't take like a whole lot of legal stuff to come in and shut it down first. It just sort of like naturally made that jump.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a caller here. We've got a caller calling in on a landline. Hey, what's up, caller? Who's this?
Hi, it's Jovi.
Hey, what's up, Jovi? Thanks for calling Final Encounter Cast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right.
I just...
Weeb alert!
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Robbie, I got a beef with you. Okay.
Oh, what else is new?
Okay, so you said...
All right, fine, I'll go out on a date with you. FanFest, does this FanFest work for you?
No. You stop that for 1 second. I'm not going on a date with you. Mainly because you said you didn't like Oran. What the fuck is up with that? Huh?
No, I love Oran. If it wasn't for him, it's arguable that Titus and the rest of them might have never actually made it
She
to
said
FanFest.
Oran High School Host Club.
Yeah.
Oh, that weeb shit? Come on, seriously?
Oh, that weeb shit coming from the biggest fucking weeb in this goddamn room right now?
Wait, you're calling me the biggest weeb?
Yes, because Chris is not here, and so it's like...
Hang on, Jovi, back that train up. What makes him the biggest weeb? Because I think we objectively...
I'm curious.
Yeah, I think we objectively...
She said Chris isn't here, and it falls to him by default. She said that.
No, I'm sorry. No, Nika is... I think in terms of weeb measurement, like it's between Chris and Nika.
Nah, Nika beats out Chris.
Oh, of course, hands down.
But see, it's because I embrace it. He tries to hide it. That makes him a little worse, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. Nika doesn't like that's the thing with that's the thing with Nika. She doesn't shy away from it. Like, if anything, like she, as she said, she embraces it. Whereas fucking Chris and Robbie are all like, oh, those anime.
All right, all right, stop. Let me defend myself. First of all, Chris is a whole different animal because it's not like he secretly loves it and he's ashamed of it in person. Like, he will sit there in his room if he finds an anime and watch it and actively hate it as he watches it.
Now, hang on. To be fair, I have done the exact same thing. Only my decision to hit play was based on a recommendation, probably from someone in this goddamn chat room right now.
What? What anime have I recommended other than Psychopath? And that's a fantastic anime.
Psychopath is fantastic. It's pretty good.
No,
it's like my all-time favorite.
I can't remember who recommended that I watch. Oh god, and I don't even remember what the fuck it was called. Had some like, oh my god. Oh no, I'm blanking on it.
Please be a cool series at least.
No, well, someone suggested that or recommended that I watch Lane because I liked Evangelion, and that couldn't have been more off base. I hated Lane.
I didn't like Lane either.
But the Serial Experiments Lane, yeah, that was. But no, there
was blame Skuro.
It was like Black something.
Black Butler.
No, not Black Butler.
Black Lagoon is really good.
Is it Black Lagoon? No, it's not Black Lagoon.
There's also Black Cat.
You might actually like Black Lagoon. It's pretty good.
I can't think of the name of it.
Actually, Black Lagoon is one you have to watch the dub because they swear so much that if you watch it in Japanese, you just don't get the full effect. There's like reels on YouTube of how much like they say the word fuck in Black Lagoon, and there's just like it's hilarious.
It's definitely not Bible Black either. Oh fuck!
Oh my god!
Ugh, no, definitely not.
All right, well, he's trying to think of that. Melkyria, I'm not a closet weeb because the last time that I watched an anime anything was when Attack on Titan was first released in the US, and I watched 4 episodes. How long ago was that?
Give or take maybe like 2-3 years.
Okay, so in 2-3 years, I've watched 4 episodes of something. No, I lied. I watched 1 episode of Bleach because a girl whose pants I was trying to get into told me I should watch it. And it took me 1 episode to realize she's not worth it.
That's a mistake.
Jensen hit it. It's Blackie Blackerson. That's the one I was thinking. No, it's Darker Than Black. Darker Than Black was the one that I was
Darker Than Black was one that was good, but then it got to this point where it was like very like convenient. Like, that's what bothers me about some anime. They'll be really actiony and really cool and kind of have this dark plot. Then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm just going to pull out this convenient power when it's convenient for me because I just happen to have this magical thing I've never told anyone about until right now.
Yeah, they just Deus Ex the shit out of it. But no,
yeah.
that's not my issue. My issue was with Robbie not liking Aura because what was it he said?
It's a bunch of dudes that think a chick is a dude.
No, none of them think none of them think she's a. They all know she's a girl.
Oh, so they know she's a girl and they're trying to get her a girl anyway? Like,
you missed the entire
Do you know what Host Club is, Robbie? Do you know what
Wow.
Host Club-
Let's just everyone talk over each other.
Because me and Jovi have a point here. Robbie, do you know what a Host Club is?
Obviously, I do not. Go ahead.
Okay, do you know what a maid cafe is?
Yes.
Okay, a Host Club is the male version of a maid cafe.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, so the plot
Why don't
is
you
that
call them butler cafes?
I don't know, but the basic plot is that they all know she's a girl, but she broke a vase, okay, and like she looks like a guy and kind of pretends like, I mean, she just doesn't care if people think she's a guy or not. So she joins their host club to pay them back for this vase that she breaks, and she just kind of like flirts with other girls at the school to like so that they'll come in and like pay money to be at their host club. Like, they are not trying to like get her a date or anything like that. Like, you're totally off base there.
It still sounds terrible.
It's
no, it's one of the greatest fucking things ever.
Like,
because
you
like
have
the
to take
antics
it-
Is it?
Yeah, you have to take it with like the knowing that it's a silly
grain
anime
of
and it's
salt.
meant to be silly. Not all anime has to be this like super action packed mega robot zoomy punch. Like nothing. Not all anime has to be like that. Okay?
Yeah, but it could at least be Excel Saga if it's not going to be that.
No. Well, Excel Saga is really just a different story. But like,
Excel Saga is objectively a mess, but tons of fun to watch.
And the thing with Host Club is that it has like hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, cut out. The thing with Host Club is it's one of those series where the sub and the dub are both like at that incredibly like incredible quality. Like the Funimation dub was fucking amazing. The outtakes were just like hilarious, and the sub itself like doesn't detract from the story or anything like that. Like yes, you have like the grading voices, but they're so far and few in between.
I don't know. I feel like I find much more cringeworthy anime than anime that I'm into on any level, whether it be narrative, it's just.
have you tried Psychopaths yet, Nate?
No.
I'm telling you, you would like that one.
Maybe, but I've
So good. It's my all-time favorite anime.
Then I have a recommendation for you, Nate.
Please don't. Please don't.
It's good. It's
don't.
good. I swear. It's
I believe you. Can we leave it at that?
okay.
Well, no, what is it? Maybe I'll like it.
It's a Bungo of Stray Dogs.
What?
Or Stray Dogs.
Stray Dogs.
I think she
Yeah.
said Papa Shango.
You know what?
You can get the best of DVD.
I saw a clip of that on Facebook one time. If it's the one I'm thinking of, a dude who can like regenerate or something.
Well, sort of, kind of. He's in.
Anyway, I think I saw a clip of this, and the clip that I saw looked pretty fucking sweet.
The thing is that I don't want my anime to necessarily be zoomy punch anime all the time. I can appreciate something that's not supposed to be an action oriented, story. But the
Steel Magnolia is the anime.
But the thing is that like it's way too often the characters are overblown, they're over the top, they start fitting this pattern, and it drives me fucking crazy. Jovi, thanks for the call, we appreciate it. If you want to be a caller to Final Encountercast on Skype 810-207-1764. Let's have some arguments about anime. I want to talk about yes, anime itself is sort of cringy, but then when you get to like if you watch enough of it and you get yourself to a convention, what you sometimes experience at the convention is a completely different side of anime. And the thing is I want to know, why is anime culture in a lot of ways so overwhelmingly creepy? Like, you've got the body pillows, you've got the moe.
What's moe? I thought that was Mo. I'm like, what does The Simpsons have to do with this?
No, moe is kind of cutesy
Well,
little
it's like
girls.
when you have like the cutesy, childish, like pigtail, like big eyes, like
it's lolly without the sex.
Yeah, it's a style. Like you can say like little girls can be moe, but also like older girls could be moe if they have that cute appeal.
It's so, but what is?
I was better off not knowing that.
Yeah, you were happier not knowing.
Well, yeah, what is what is the creep factor all about? Because I feel like this is the part of the whole equation that prevents me from even exploring it, or like I would be more adventurous in trying series if I don't know, this stuff is so weird and out of control and just unsettling.
I'm gonna agree with you. A lot of the tropes and cliches that are normally associated in anime are also very creepy. Like a lot of times, you can watch a TV show or a movie and you can pick out like the archetypes and stuff like that, right? It's no big deal. But when it happens in anime, because the way that you were just talking about how your anime doesn't always have to be like, big robots and action and gunny and shooty. But once you start to pick out those certain cliches and tropes, some are just so creepy and grating that I can't do it.
And I think I'm going to throw this out and just kind of feel that in general as a culture, Japan is a bit more open about sexuality than America. And I think, having used underwear in vending machines and that kind of thing. And so I feel like, I don't know if just in general, I think, since it stems from Japan and Japan is a lot more open about their sexual desire, sexuality, sexual fetishes, etc. A lot of times that translates into their media.
Okay, but I'm okay with that sort of theme, like being open about sexuality. That concept doesn't bother me, so I don't know if that's the root of it for me. Nate, what do you think?
No, when I talk, for example, the whole brother sister, the Emoto thing that's been really popular in the last 4 or 5 years.
What do you mean? Emoto just means little sister.
But that whole think of SAO or any number of these.
They were adoptive cousins in SAO. That's not even
okay. There are others where they're directly siblings, or siblings, family relation. I mean, there's just there's also this thing that happens that because anime is anime and you're not you're depicting people but you're not actually making people do anything. There's also this very creepy young element to it too, and I feel like it works its way not just into, I mean, it may be an overall culture thing that works its way into the anime, but I feel like once the anime crosses the pond and reaches a Western audience, that it has definitely an effect on the audience. Because, I mean, there's a lot of times where I'll go to an anime convention, and I mean, I'm not going to say anything, but I do feel kind of creeped out by the dude who is in line getting his lunch with an anime body pillow. It's weird, that shit gets uncomfortable at a point. I mean, some of it is a joke.
So
some of it is a joke. I can accept some of it as a joke and sort of an overblown satire of it. But at the same time, too often it's taken with straight-faced seriousness.
So, Nate, you're not talking about necessarily what's being depicted in the anime itself.
Well, that's part of it. That's part of it.
Over here?
I mean, I think part of it, though, is that I think part of it is cultural in the fact that, I feel 85% of anime is themed around high school students or set in a high school. And I noticed that even in the JRPGs, Final Fantasy, how often are the characters older than 17? So
why is that? What is with this preoccupation of exploring high school as a setting for things?
I think part of it might be in Japanese culture. So often you know what you're going to be very early on in life, and you know exactly what course you have to follow to get there. Everything is very rigid about your life. So a lot of what their fantasy would be, their cartoon effectively focuses on different explorations of high school, things that you could be doing that aren't what you're locked into.
Yeah,
the what if situation.
The what if, yeah. Much like we explore, over here, a lot of our cartoons are very fantastical and extraordinarily far out there because we're always preached to that we can be whatever we want, and it's always up to us. So for us to kind of get that fantasy world, it has to be very fantastical.
Right.
I think that might be
one
the difference.
One of the biggest differences in our culture and Japanese culture that was pointed out to me recently was when it comes to nuclear radiation and explosions and stuff like that. In our shows and movies, they make superheroes. In Japan, they make monsters.
Okay.
Why do you think that was?
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there are obviously a lot of reasons why some of these things can be so like black and white, comparatively, because yeah, like I just started replaying FF10, right? Did not realize that Riku was 15 in that game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot younger than I thought.
Yeah.
To have your thong showing the entire game.
That's in 10 too, and she's older.
Or 17? I don't know, but I mean, obviously, I know that in Japan, yeah, they
even like Yuna's only like 17.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But is that I can't be the only one that's made uncomfortable by the preoccupation on the prurient. Like there's an intense focus on making it publicly known, like sharing it with pride, which is sort of weird, about how you're attracted to your anime waifu. That sort of stuff culturally turns me off and makes me go, okay, yeah, it sort of wraps it in the same thing with the with the furries. Like I'm not like, okay, if that's your thing, that's fine. Just like I don't understand why I need to be subjected to it all the fucking time.
I'm also a firm believer that anime is what created furries. I blame you people for that.
Bronies.
But furries are its own thing though. But like we're talking
but would
outside
furries
of
have happened if it wasn't for anime and cat girls? I don't know.
Did that all stem from cat girls? I don't know.
I don't think it did.
I don't think so.
I don't think it did. I mean, I've got my own theory about furries, but I mean, like there is a very large sexual element if you even just take hentai as a genre and set it aside to make it its own thing and disambiguate it from this part of the conversation, there is still a huge sexual element to anime, and a lot of it is really uncomfortable. And I'm not sure, like, I guess I'm not sure if that is supposed to drive discomfort in the audience, like if it's supposed to be purposeful. Am I supposed to be uncomfortable by this? Because
that would explain a lot.
It would explain a lot, but the thing is that none of the characters treat it that way. It's not treated internally in the narrative as being weird or uncomfortable, and I think that's where my discomfort stems from. When you have something fucked up, at least in Western media, you have the kind of Greek chorus that exists there going, oh yeah, that was fucked up, and we're telling you it's fucked up.
For it.
Yeah, and
or subtext. They give you the subtext.
Right. And I don't. That's the thing, is I don't know if I'm missing that with anime. Is there a context or a subtext that I'm missing, or is it just supposed to be okay?
I think in terms of incest stuff, I feel like it's a bit more okay over there in general. Like, is it okay in Japan to marry your first cousins? Because I feel like in a lot of anime, like no matter if it's like a modern day anime or if it's like we are the family heirs of this magical kingdom, like being in love with your first cousin is okay.
I was going to say, yeah, it very well could be not just a regional thing, but it could also be, just like a generational thing, because. Think to Game of Thrones, right? Targaryens only married within their bloodline, right?
Yes.
Fruits Basket is an anime that's like that also.
Yeah, well, and obviously that's something that, back in the day did happen. Preserving your bloodlines, right?
Right.
Think back to, I'm not obviously 100% knowledgeable on the specific eras and regions and stuff, but, if that type of thing happened like feudal Japan?
I don't know. I think it was
just been something that amongst certain lines of thinking.
I don't think that was. I don't think that was. I think that was something that was way more common in like
Europe
during during the pre-Renaissance era. Yeah. I know. God.
But you're right in talking about it as like a difference of cultural expectations. In America, incest very much frowned upon.
But you have characters, like even in Game of Thrones, you have characters commenting on the either the Lannisters or the Targaryens and the the validity of that sort of activity, and it's even frowned upon inside the narrative. And I don't think that that's just not something that I think that I'm getting, either that I don't get about anime or isn't there about anime that I dislike. And I don't know if that is a cultural thing or if it's just something that I'm not getting about it. But I'm totally willing to admit that
it's not just frowned upon by other characters that give you that context for it, but they also, with the characters who are involved, they give you the reasoning behind it, and the fact that they want to, they keep their bloodline pure or whatever. That obviously harkens back to, the Renaissance times in Europe, when that was something that actually happened.
Right.
Whereas in animes, you have like the little sister or the cousin or whatever doting on the older one, when there are like other perfectly capable suitors right there, and it's like, why do you prefer
it gets
your
weird
blood?
Yeah,
it's weird.
Let's go back to our phone lines and talk to Bro Hamet. Bro Hamet, thanks for calling Final Encountercast. What's going on, bud? Bro Hamet.
Bro. I like that name, Bro Hamet.
Bro Hamet.
Hamet.
Are you there?
Going once.
And nope, I guess Bro Hamet is not there. If you'd like to call Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. We'd like to hear from you, talking all about anime right now. I totally admit that it may be a cultural thing that I don't understand, but it is something that prevents me from getting more into it or giving more series a shot. I mean, because I feel like going into an anime anymore, my wall is up. Like, I'm like, you got to impress me. And that can be kind of difficult for a series to do right out of the gate. So, I think I've set my expectations fairly high for a lot of these things, whether fairly or unfairly. And I really sort of feel like there's that weird element. There's also this thing that anime does where it has really set and established character tropes and patterns, like the tsundere, whatever. All of that shit categorically needs to be thrown out and scrubbed from anime. I hate it.
Or the fact when people have to be very specific about telling you how something's pronounced. Fuck off.
Okay, but some people in the chat might not have understood what you're trying to say when you say tsundere.
Whatever. No, they know what I mean.
No,
you could say it's sundeer and everyone would know what that means.
Whatever.
And they know what he means. If you don't know what he means without it being corrected, then get out while you can.
I think the only people that wouldn't know what I was driving at are people that don't know anime in general, and then they wouldn't even you saying it correctly, they don't know what I'm driving at.
Yes,
so let's explain it. Let's explain it. Nika, can you explain what it is?
Okay, I guess I get some. Okay, I have to tell myself the difference between tsundere and yandere. So tsundere is
very different.
Tsundere is when they're really, really crazy on the surface but really sweet underneath, and yandere is when they're really cute on the surface and crazy underneath.
I don't know if they're crazy on the surface.
No.
They're just hard,
They're
cold,
a little bit
icy.
more like Asuka's a perfect example of a tsundere. Okay,
Yeah.
like Asuka from Evangelion. Like, she's super bitch crazy. She'll like smack at you and scream at you all the time, and then underneath she's really like soft-hearted and loves you. Like, Asuka's a perfect example of that.
Does she though? Does Asuka really love you underneath?
No,
I'm not sure she does.
No, I don't think she does. And that's the thing. I am so tired of these sorts of characters making their way into show after show after show. I'm like, the first time that they show a guy with glasses and he does one of these, like, I'm like, oh, okay, he's gonna be the nerdy, like, know-it-all. He's gonna be the bookworm. That thing, that whole thing that he. I fucking hate that. Why does that have to keep happening? It's not this is why I liked Evangelion, okay? Because Evangelion took took those characters, those very boxed in characters, and set up the audience's expectation over 16 episodes, and then systematically subverted every single one of those expectations through the later half of the series, the last 10 episodes. And it was not just a commentary on the specific characters that had been built within the context of the story, but it was also a very damning indictment of the character models that are used within anime. And it was more of like a character study and a breakdown of those character archetypes than it was of the characters themselves. And I thought that was a really nice meta commentary about anime that I was like, I totally latched onto that, and I totally got that before I read a single forum post about anime. I was like, oh, it's creating its own commentary about the genre in which it exists, and I think that is so smart. It's so postmodern, and a lot of people get really frustrated with Evangelion because they don't understand that concept, that it's not just a commentary on the characters created through the narrative, but it's also a commentary on characters, in anime in general, and also anime consumers as well. So I think all of those elements really made that series something special, and it does. Like, that's one of the few where I was like, I was ready to bail on that show after 5 episodes, and I can't remember who it was, but somebody told me, like, no, just stick it out, just keep going. It will get to a point where you're not even going to believe it. And I was, and I didn't. I was like, I didn't take that at face value. I didn't trust it. I was like, nah, this is bullshit. But I kept watching, and it did do a 180. And I thought it was just great because it comments on all of the things that bother me about anime.
One of the things about that series that I remember when I was first watching it and I loved it, but someone made an argument to me that Evangelion, the characters don't experience much growth throughout the series.
Right.
And that's right. They don't. No, the characters are very similar at the end of the series as they are at the beginning. Some of them may be dead, but they're very similar, at least in character. And you're right. Part of that is because they are supposed to be more than characters. They are supposed to be commentaries on that trope of character, which does not change.
Right. And it doesn't. And the thing is that, that was a show that was made in 1996, 1995, somewhere
Earlier
around
than
there.
that, I think.
We have not moved on from those character archetypes. Like, anime in general as a genre has not moved on from those archetypes. We've just added more archetypes in. And I don't think that really helps or creates anything that's interesting. And the animes that have broken with that tradition have been the ones that I find the most interesting. And it's hard to find those anymore. Like, in terms of contemporary anime, that is a quality that is really, really difficult for me to find, because I feel like even well-established anime falls into those patterns.
Yeah. I think that's where you see that pattern sort of happening over and over again too. Is that when you hear people talking about their Weeb starter pack, like the animes that got them started into anime, right? Different generations have their different like groups. Like, for example, I think because of Toonami, for a lot of people, Gundam was one of them, right?
Gundam, Dragon Ball Z, and Sailor Moon were like all of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go like a generation up, and then you have like Naruto and Bleach, and now it's like Sword Art Online and Attack on Titan.
On Titan, yeah.
And I think exactly what you're saying, Nate, is the problem. I can't ever get into it. Is I'll watch like 1 or 2 episodes of an anime, and then be like, this is the exact same thing that I tried to watch 3 months ago.
What is the difference between this character and this character? Like, that happens so often in anime that it really is. It dissuades me from getting into more of it. Let's go back to our phone lines. We've got Carletta hanging on the line. Carletta, thanks for calling into Final Encounter Cast.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good, Carletta.
Hey.
Thanks for calling. How are you?
Hey, no problem. I was into anime before I even know what anime was.
Ah.
I was in love with Speed Racer at the age of 7.
That's
And yes,
anime?
that's an anime.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It
Speed
is.
Racer is
All right.
definitely
Well,
anime.
there's another one I
There-
know.
Okay, all right.
And then when I got older, it was Star Blazers and Robotech. I mean, Macross.
Macross, yeah. Robotech was one that I had gotten into very, very young, yeah.
And then it kind of left off, and and then I found Sailor Moon. Oh boy, and now I only have like 2 animes I watch anymore, and that's that and Naruto, because I've been with them for so long.
Carletta, I'm sorry.
That I don't want. Well, I know you're sorry. I'm sorry too.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like, there's a certain thing for me when I go back and watch Dragon Ball Z episodes. Like, I acknowledge, like, I'm like, I know that this is garbage. I know that this sucks.
Yeah.
But it's like, it hits a place in my heart that is 100% nostalgia, and I can't hate it. Like,
do you remember the episode where Piccolo and Goku learn to drive?
Get the driver's license.
Dude,
oh my god!
That is objectively trash.
And they cut that out of DBZ Kai. They cut out all that crap.
Yeah.
But I did get my parents to watch Evangelion.
Did you really?
Yes.
What did your parents think of it?
Yeah.
I'm really
Well,
curious.
my mom wanted to kick Shinji in the butt.
Didn't we
He's such
all?
a whiny kid. And my dad's like, how come you won't let me see anything past episode 24? And I'm like, trust me, you just don't want to watch that part. Those 2.
Yeah, did you show them the movie?
Just show them the movie instead, yeah.
No, it's not that. My dad would have just like, why did you make me watch this?
You asked for it, Pa.
He enjoyed it. He enjoyed it right until the last 2 episodes. And me and my cousin looked at each other and said, no.
And then maybe we should just cut it there.
Yeah, I've watched everything from Chobits to Sword Art and Bebop and Fooly Cooly, and but now I just don't watch as much as I do because I haven't seen anything that people tell me watch Attack on Titan. I said I don't want to watch no naked bodies eating people. I like
fair criticism.
Probably shouldn't watch End of Evangelion then, if I recall. Ray's pretty naked and huge.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But I never seen her grab somebody and go, oh.
Gotta get that
Does
vor
she?
fetish going on there.
God, I hate you, Kelly.
Anyway, Carletta, thanks for the call. We appreciate it.
No problem. I just wanted to, I just like a slice of life and wacky stuff now, and haven't seen to find anymore, and I hate that.
Okay.
You can't find slice of life anime?
Well, I probably could. I guess I'm just not trying.
Yeah, you're not. That's all there is anymore.
See,
if you like slice of life anime that gets sad, try Your Lie in April.
No, I don't want to cry. No,
It's so good, but it's so sad.
Anyway, Carletta,
I know, you gotta go. I understand.
Carletta, thanks for the call and talking anime with us. We appreciate it. If you want to call Final Encountercast, we're talking anime. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764 to call in. And again, going back to the whole, I definitely don't need, I'm not someone who needs a whole lot of action. One of my favorite anime series in recent memory was it Eden of the East or East of Eden? What was
Eden of the East?
Eden of the East.
I like that one.
I loved it. I thought that it was first of all, it was a very well done dub. Second of all, it was a very understated love story that where you actually
so
like. I found myself. I'm not someone. I don't like love stories. I don't like.
Because this didn't follow any of those cheesy cliches.
It didn't. No, and you're absolutely right. And I was like, by the end of it, I was like rooting for these 2 people, but there was this whole like conspiracy aspect to it, and it was one of the most well done narrative unfoldings I've ever seen.
Psychopaths, Nate. Everything you're saying about this is, I'm telling you, you'd love it.
I've heard you now. I've heard it. I've heard you. But that was one. Yeah, I don't necessarily need a whole lot of action to sate me, and I would say that even in Evangelion, it wasn't even the action that was the best parts of Evangelion. It was the mystery. It was the ambiance. It was everything other than the shit with the giant robots. Like that was the stuff that really interested me about Evangelion, as opposed to all the angels and the third impact and all of that shit. I was way more interested on in what was going on either between the characters and that to me is. That to me is why I don't write off anime altogether. You know what I mean? Like when I come across stuff that's good, it's so good that it makes me go, yeah, this definitely still has merit, and I can't just write it off. But the stuff, there's such an abundance of the cringy stuff and
of host club stuff.
Yes. And stuff that makes me like every time I hit a bad one, I go it erodes that goodwill that I have.
You know what it's like? It's like, and I guess this is comic books over here. There is so much garbage in comic books these days, but when you find a good one that speaks to you the right way, you're just like, damn. There is some good stuff out there still.
I guess that's fair. I'd like to be more into anime than I am, I think. I've heard a lot of people say good things about different series, and when I go watch them, I'm disappointed. And I don't know if my expectations are set too high, or if it is really just a preponderance of the same characters copy and pasted between things over and over again. I think all of those factors are in play, but there's something that holds me back from saying, like, yeah, I'm an anime fan.
I feel like when you first watched Evangelion, there needed to be a disclaimer at the front that said, "Warning, Nate. There will never be a series you like more than this one. It's all downhill after this. Lower your expectations, but enjoy this."
But here's the thing, though. I saw Evangelion when I was 25 years old. It was not nearly my first foray into anime. I didn't even stumble across it when I was young. And the thing is that Evangelion set such a high bar for me in terms of just fucking weirdness. Like weirdness that absorbed me on a level where I was like, I need to understand what the fuck is happening. Like, it absorbed me like Lost absorbed me. It absorbed me like Twin Peaks absorbed me. And it's a totally different animal. And the fact that I saw it at 25, it really set my bar very high for weird shit. Like I'm like, yeah, someone will say, hey, have you ever seen this movie? It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And I'll be like, yeah, it's probably not that weird. I've seen Evangelion. It set my bar super, super high.
I had that moment not long ago with a series that I watched where I was like mind fucked at the end. I'm like, what just happened? It's a 6-episode series. I'm hoping the chat might be able to provide the name. It's about this private investigator who is immortal, and the whole series, like every episode, like advances time by like 40 years. So, like, characters that you get to know in the first series are just gone after the first episode.
Ooh, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, like, the whole series takes place over, like, 300 years in 6 episodes.
Is this an anime?
It's an anime. It's a 6-episode anime with a long, hard-to-pronounce name that I cannot think of. I'm hoping someone in the chat might be able to provide it for me.
Huh.
But it's about this, immortal private investigator who's... I mean, it's a cool series.
That's nothing that I've heard of. That's kind of cool, though.
Me either.
Yeah. I like that idea, though. Let's just real quick. Let's talk about Dragon Ball Z. We touched on this very, very briefly. I said it activates all of my nostalgia. But the thing is I feel like Dragon Ball Z had one of the worst impacts on anime as a genre.
What?
Worst impact? In that it changed people's expectations.
I know, because I have to point at you.
Oh. Okay.
I like in terms of setting expectations for Americans of what anime should be, possibly, but in terms of like bringing anime as a thing to American culture, I'd say it had a good impact.
I'd say it also had a good impact, but
I do see what you're saying, because I was a part of my anime club, and every year at the beginning of school, all the clubs would go out and try to advertise, right? So you'd be like, okay, we're an anime club, come see, and they're like, oh, I know Dragon Ball Z, so like more stuff like Dragon Ball Z, and we're like, well,
no,
sort
it's
of.
not like Dragon Ball Z.
Not real. Look, there'd be so many jocks that are like, oh yeah, like Dragon Ball Z, man, and like they show up to the first day and they're like, yeah, this is not what I thought.
Well, why are they pretending that girl is a guy?
Oh my God, shut up.
I like Dragon Ball Z. I have a very kind of difficult relationship with because I loved it as a kid. There's a part of me that still loves it, but I acknowledge the fact that it's terrible. Like I acknowledge the fact that the dub the dub's not very good. The North American,
there are worse dubs though.
There are the North American localization was not good. It was edited to shit. It's got a lot of negative qualities, but being the thing that really launched anime into that and really Sailor Moon, the thing that launched anime into the Western consciousness.
But even Sailor Moon's translation, like, oh, let's take these lesbian lovers and make them close cousins. I still will never get over that.
But the thing is, you wouldn't have been able to understand that as a kid. I mean, we're talking like the early mid '90s.
Back then I really thought,
sense.
oh, they're just cousins that really love each other. Okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah. How about those ones that are they're boys, but when they transform, they turn into girls? That might have been a good message for me at 12.
Was also
I would have appreciated that.
Stars never made it until like this year because of that. And also, there apparently wasn't supposed to actually be a true gender swap in the manga. It's not, and actually that's something that the creator of the manga got kind of upset that they changed in the manga.
Interesting.
They were supposed to be kind of like, I don't know if they're like transgender or whatever they were supposed to be, but they were not supposed to be literally one gender that changed into another gender.
Interesting. It's called, by the way, that series is called Nemo Sign.
Oh, Nemo Sign. Interesting.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z is really difficult because I feel like because it had, Dragon Ball Z was a anomaly even for anime. Most anime is 24 episodes. If it's, usually they run one season. There's not too many shows that have 300 some odd episodes, and I feel like the negative impact was them stretching it out, and that's not a localization thing. That was just a production thing. The way that they padded out that show, I think, really laid out a very effective but shitty way for other shows to pad their shit out. So you get where you have these huge narratives that just they don't go anywhere for episodes. I feel like Bleach was kind of guilty of that. A lot of the Shonen Jump shit was guilty of that. Inuyasha would just go on for episodes with nothing
Bleach, and
happening.
Naruto
Bleach.
are like
Naruto too, yeah.
Bleach.
Yeah.
God, I remember so many seasons of filler with Bleach.
And I feel like if you trace that back, Dragon Ball Z's success can sort of be attributed to that sort of attitude, like, oh, we can totally do, if Dragon Ball Z can do it, we can totally do it too. And that's where I think you get the negative impact on anime. But what's really interesting is that anime is sort of held to this one series 24 episode format for a long time, and just now we're starting to see multiple seasons emerging of certain shows, and I think it's starting to change the narrative delivery landscape. Nika, can you speak to that at all?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Some of my favorite series are older and do have multiple seasons, so I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to.
Well, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of series that I would check out and it would just be 24 episodes and done. Gurren Lagann.
Part of it, I think, either has to do with budget or company. Like, there's so many that like they start the anime before the manga's finished, and then they like get through it and make their own little thing, and then it just never gets picked up for another season. And I don't really know why, honestly. But I mean, some of the more popular ones, obviously, like Sailor Moon had 5 seasons even back in the day.
Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell has now 3 series.
But Ghost in the Shell is different because it kept getting reboots. It's like each movie is its own reboot. Then there's the anime that's 2 seasons long, and then there's like movies that are like kind of following the anime, but also kind of a reboot. It's weird.
You guys do know that the length of an anime and whether or not it gets picked up for a second season or not is directly proportional to the body pillow sales, right?
That's why they always have a sexy girl. Oh,
No, but
Robbie, you might be onto something.
But then no. A lot of times too, second seasons aren't even that good.
But let's consider something here, because I mean, Evangelion was one of those 24 and done, and even though it did have massive budgetary problems, it's not like Gainax shuttered its production offices, and that is the most successful anime in terms of merchandising and licensing to ever be made. You would think, like, if that show was made in the West and it only had 24 episodes, there's no way they would milk that thing for another 3-4 seasons, and Gainax just moved the fuck on. They were like, all right, well, what are we going to make next?
Do you think part of that, though, was the director's state of mind at the end of that show?
I think way more has been made about that than
is accurate.
Than is warranted at all. I mean, he's a very private guy, so it's kind of tough to know overall. But Gainax did not revolve solely around what Anao was doing.
Yeah.
There was plenty of other people. I'm pretty sure after they wrapped up Evangelion, they moved straight on to either Fooly Cooly or Abanabashi. So
I wonder if maybe just as a Japanese culture, it's just like once the story is told, it's over.
And if that's the case, I think that's a way better approach than milking the shit into oblivion.
Well, think about the series here that we tend to appreciate so much at the end. Like, a lot of people who loved Breaking Bad thought that show ended at the right time.
Yeah.
That show, like, it was just starting to drag. They found a great, satisfying conclusion to it, and that's the end.
Yep, totally agree.
And then made an offshoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
That's how you make the money nowadays. You do an offshoot.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for our anime discussion. Nico, is there anything any points that you didn't get out?
I don't think so. I mean, it just really depends on I don't know. Like, we're talking a lot about the creepiness and the obsessions and whatever, and there are definitely different levels. And if you are afraid of getting into anime because of all the weird, creepy, weeaboo shit we were talking about, there literally is an anime for everyone. Like, that's why even like Robbie and Nate are saying, like, I don't really like anime, but there's those one or two that are really good, and you just have to find what fits you.
And being an anime fan is fine. There, more than maybe any other type of fandom, there are levels of anime fan, and we're just saying that some of those ones up near the top are frightening.
Yeah.
But it's okay to also like anime on different levels as well.
Yeah,
sure. You just have to kind of find. I mean, that's why I think is actually so cool about anime that you don't always see in American cartoons or American shows, is that there really is. There's anime for children. There's anime for adults. There's anime that's made to feel good. There's anime that's meant to rip your heart out. And there's literally everything. So that's honestly why I like anime so much, because I can find anything to suit my mood.
Here's my closing thoughts. Okay, anime is a lot like acquired taste. You drink it long enough, you'll like it, or you can just say piss on it and watch stuff that's already good.
But there are some anime that are genuinely good.
Well, and you're not wrong. It's just finding them can be
it can be daunting, and that can be overwhelming.
Yes, it can be. And the thing is that, just like other series, I mean, it's just like getting into any TV series. You might not know whether you're into it for 4 or 5 episodes. And that at that point, you feel like, okay, well, I'm sort of invested. I finished out series that I hated because I was like, all right, I'm 10 episodes in out of 26. I'm not going to quit now. And that's part of the reason why I think I don't start more. Or why I'm not a little bit more adventurous is because
it's a pretty brutal job sifting through all that darkness.
Yeah, there you go.
You're a lot better at these drops than Chris is.
I know. We noticed this.
On day one.
We may have to do a permanent switch. We also took way more calls on LBR than we normally do. So yeah, I think we may have to give we may have to give Chris a performance review here.
Oh my God, let's totally do that. That would be so much fun.
An on-air performance review.
Like, not even tell him about it, right? It's like, why is Kelly in my seat? Be like, Chris, we have to talk.
Yeah.
We'll take out like an official little review sheet and everything. Yeah.
We've been having some discussions around the office.
I can take one for work. We have to do those at work. I'm going to grab one tomorrow.
Yes, there you go. Perfect. So I want to read one email before we wrap it up. I know that we've been going a little bit long here, but we've had this email actually sitting around for a couple of weeks, and it's one of my favorite emails that we've ever received to Final Encountercast, and I wanted to take a chance to read it. It's somewhat long, but it's a good email. It's an important email, and again, I wanted to read this a couple of weeks back, but we didn't get a chance to. So it says, "Hey, Chris, Robbie, Nate, Nika, and Callie, as well as the FEC chat." By the way, this email refers back to a conversation that we had a couple of weeks ago about Notch's tweets where he used the hashtag confusion in response to mansplaining, and the conversation that we had out of that about language. So I know that Nika and Callie aren't here this week because they're at cons. Okay.
We're back.
Yeah.
We're here now.
Surprise.
I wanted to send an email anyway to address the conversation on last week's show. Even though I would normally do this, I would not normally do this, for the context of this conversation, I will give my actual background. I'm an African-American woman who happens to like and play games. When it comes to the conversation of mansplaining, as several people in the chat pointed out last week, the concept is, of course, offensive. The idea of talking to a woman or anyone like they are lesser because they are a woman is indeed problematic. And at the end of the day, if a person doesn't understand the topic that you may be well versed in, to belittle them while trying to explain the concept is the explainer being an asshole. With the guy Notch using cunt as part of a joke, which I must admit was funny, I think can go two ways. One, I'm not sure Notch is a comedian or not, but I do know that we give certain allowances to comedians for saying things that are normally offensive. So if he's not normally a comedian or identify as one, then he did make a faux pas with his joke. Two, no one can tell anyone what to be or not to be offended by. I can admit that people do have a tendency to be hypersensitive these days, but if you have a public persona and you put this out into the universe, then you have to deal with the backlash. In all honesty, I get annoyed when people back down and apologize if that's not what they really meant to do. If Notch really meant that shit, then he should have stood by the joke come hell or high water. On the second issue of racism, sexism, etc., as a black person who is native to America, no white person can say boo to me about saying nigger, nigga, jigaboo, porch monkey, moon cricket, and any other slur that has been used to describe my people in this country. Period. I will stand in my solidarity with that, whether you guys agree or not. You will find differing opinions within our own community. So what Will said last week is also a valid stance for him. Will I go fighting people in the streets? No. If I work for you or patronize your establishment and it's used towards me or my family, I will probably make a lawsuit because money is what promotes actual change in this country, not hurt feelings. I do agree with Will, though, that in saying that if you're a racist, I would rather know up front, and I will do what is in my American rights to do about it. I could get into the history of why it's an issue, but you guys appear to be pretty well read, so I won't bore you with the shit that you already know. And even if you don't know, ever since the reemergence of overt racism in this country, I have decided that it's not my job to educate anyone on anything that can be solved with a Google search or reading a fucking book. That is more of a self-care thing because the last few years have been hard when it comes to racism for me. And to be completely honest, the fact that some white people or anyone who isn't African American think they have the right to say whether or not black people should be offended by nigger when it obviously does not affect you in the same way that it affects a black person is an obvious display of white privilege. It also may highlight a lack of understanding of cultures and other concepts that don't directly apply to you. I don't get to tell a homosexual person not to be affected by slurs used towards them or any other group that has experience in some form of oppression. And to complete this, that's what it all boils down to. If you're talking to or addressing an audience that may consist of an oppressed group, any of them really, and the addressee is a part of the status quo, you might want to listen and educate yourself before first speaking. I will emphasize listening more than education because a lot of people use knowledge to justify their flawed ways of thinking. I think my main complaint when having the conversation about racism or sexism or any isms is that people that I talk to try to outright devalue my opinions or thoughts when it's contrary to their worldview, and when I am one of the people in the category of the conversation. It's funny in a sad way. I will admit I do not know how white people feel about all this talk about race and being scared to be labeled as racist, but I have asked about it and to try to get a better idea. I'm mainly met with an obvious defense mechanism and haven't really gotten their true thoughts or feelings regarding the issue. You guys are definitely free to share your thoughts with me about whether it is via email response or on the show. This email is already long, so I will TLDR in case you read it on the show. Well, we already read the whole thing, but
we usually don't pre-read email, so put the TLDR at the top.
If Notch wants to counter mansplaining with an equally offensive term to people in the audience, he needs to stand by his joke and not apologize for using a different forum to better explain his points and get feedback in more than 140 characters. Racism and all the isms should be better discussed with people that represent these isms, and the discussion should be listened to by the majority or norm of society that claims to not understand why these groups are so offended. But with all of that being said, and maybe contrary to what you guys may think after reading this email, I really enjoy both FEC and LBR and have been a Patreon for the last few months with no plans on changing that. I even love the frequent Kahlo/Robbie and Reset streams as a casual talker and most time lurker. I really enjoy the content you guys create and the willingness you guys have to confront topics that most shows tend to shy away from. I continue to encourage you guys to have these topics because they are really necessary and needed. I hope you guys never change, and I hope that my email can be just added as another opinion in this very controversial conversation. I love what you guys do and all you do. Andrea, aka Dread Poetic, in the chat. Thank you, Dread Poetic. We appreciate that email. I really enjoyed this email. A couple of things. I don't think that I agree with you that Notch needed to be a comedian in order to mount a defense of his statements. I think you're right that we do give comedians a little bit more leeway when saying offensive things, but I don't think you need to be categorically a comedian to use offensive statements or imagery to be able to make a point. And we've done that here on this show. I think that just categorically saying that that's something that a comedian can do, I think I disagree with that.
But we are clowns, so it's kind of close.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong. So we are kind of clowns. But no, I really enjoyed this email and really appreciate the perspective, and I think it is an interesting conversation. I'd love to continue having that conversation, and I mean, yeah, it did relate to race and gender and sexism, but I think what I was trying to I think my dog in that fight, because I don't give a shit about race. I don't claim my own. I don't care about other people's. Just like my sexuality, I don't claim being, like when I say that, I know what I am. I know I'm a cis white motherfucker. Like, I know that, but at the same time, I don't take pride in that. There's no personal amount of pride that I walk away from at the end of the day where I'm like, yep, this is me.
Well, the issue there is that you're the majority.
That is true.
Like
that is white privilege.
Are usually because they need.
You're totally right.
they need some kind of, way to stand strong and stay together when people are trying to tear them down. That's where a lot of the pride comes
You are absolutely right that in and of itself is a product of my white privilege. That is 100% true. But the thing is that my dog in that fight is language. I am very passionate about language and what is considered acceptable or not acceptable language. I've always really I've struggled with the idea that there are words that can be inherently bad because it all depends on the context. It depends on the words that are used around them and how they're used to make a point. The point is what matters at the end of the day. Okay, if you just tune out the minute you hear a word that you don't like, it doesn't move the discussion forward. If you don't like the things that you're hearing, push back against it. Like, there are so many ways to interact with media. There's so many ways to interact with people that when you come across moments where you're genuinely offended, you have an opportunity to say something about it. And, I would hope that if anyone listened to this show and they came away feeling offended by anything that they heard, that they would, instead of just tuning out and going back to the bubble where they feel safe, that they would challenge anything that we said or any idea that we presented here on this show and start a dialogue about it, because I think at the end of the day, that is 100% what I'm interested in exploring. And at the end of the day, really my dog in the fight is language and use of language. And so I think that's really where I was coming from in that conversation. But it's really interesting to hear where other people are coming from. It is really sort of a third rail in popular culture right now. We don't want to talk. Nobody wants to talk about it for fear of getting labeled with an ist or an ism. And to me, that's really disappointing. That's why I really like to dig into these conversations here on Final Encounter Cast, to be able to have a place to talk about that where, you can say whatever you want. And it doesn't just apply to the hosts on these shows. It applies to the callers on these shows, that you can say whatever you want and we'll still try to give it the time of day, and we'll still try to discuss it in a meaningful fashion. So I think that is going to wrap it up for Final Encounter Cast today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We always appreciate you hanging out here with Final Encounter Cast late into your Sunday. We are just a few hours away from the Battle of the Bastards on Game of Thrones. Guys, I'm so excited.
I know. I was going to stream, but I have Game of Thrones to watch.
Sorry, this is important.
Priorities.
We have been waiting for this battle all season. It's time.
It really is. By the way, happy Father's Day to any fathers that happen to be listening live. We hope that you enjoyed the show. If you like what you've heard today, hit that follow button. Hang out with us every Sunday at 5 here on twitch.tv/Final Encounter Cast. We do our show every week here at 5. We always allow you to call in, so if you wanted to call in today but didn't get a chance to, just wait till next week and you'll get a chance to call in. Next week we'll be talking to Kooky Persona and talking all about E3 2016. So again, we'd like to wish Kooky Persona well and hope that she has a speedy recovery with her gallbladder, but at the same time we want to invite you to tune in next week. We'll be talking all about E3 2016. So hit that follow button if you're not following yet. And if you like the show, if you get anything out of the show, if you rely on the show for your weekly news in the world of video games, or whether you just listen to the show to get a couple of yucks out every week, maybe consider supporting the show. You can do that over at patreon.com/limitbreakradio, and we would so appreciate it if you did. The total is now down below 18. No. It's down below 1,900. It's down to 1830 something. Guys, we need to get that total up above 2,000 to keep Final Encounter Cast on a weekly schedule. We've got 10 days to do it. It's the 19th now. We've got till the end of the month. We've got till the end of June to get that total back above $2,000, or else Final Encounter Cast will have to adjust its production schedule. And believe me, we don't want to do that. We love doing the show. We love doing the show, and we want to keep bringing it to you guys each and every single week. So that's going to do it for our final EncounterCast. I want to thank my crew. Of course, a big shout-out again to Kooky Persona, who's recovering right now. Len for filling in today. Thank you very much, Len. And also to Chris, who couldn't join us, but is somewhere doing something.
We assume important.
Yeah, we think.
I think
Anyway,
he's with his dad, who actually, I guess, kind of maybe loves him.
maybe. I doubt it. Anyway, thanks.
Ouch.
I know, right? Thanks for joining us here at Final EncounterCast. I want to thank my crew, of course, Robbie, Callie, and Nika. I'm Nate. Have a good one. Final EncounterCast is a production of FinalEncounterCast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Aniro Grigori. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. For more info can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. For links to articles mentioned on this show, check out our live blog at FinalEncounterCast.com. Final EncounterCast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.